I'm going to be making just a little tutorial on how to draw lace. Dark blue heart. A while ago I had no idea how to draw lace, and lace is just so lovely and elegant and detailed, and I was just like, oh my goodness, I want to draw this, but it's so hard. Now lace usually has lots of flower patterns on it, but of course it doesn't have to. I'm just showing an example on a hand, so I'm going to be giving this hand a very fancy lace glove. But of course, lace can be on anything, but I thought that would be a nice, interesting looking example. But the very first thing you want to do is to draw out the main shapes that are a part of the lace. So I'm making this lace a flower pattern, so I'm going to draw just some simple flowers. You can look at lace patterns to see how their pattern looks. They're usually like simple color blocking like this, with some flowers and then maybe a little stem like this with a leaf. And the example I'm going to be drawing today is going to be black lace because I have black pens, but you can use white pens to draw white lace as well, but you'll need to put the color down for whatever you're drawing. I'm going to draw first. Like if you're drawing a bag with white lace, it can't be on white paper. White on white, you're going to see nothing. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And the darker the thing behind it is, the more the white lace is going to pop. And if the thing you're putting on lace, the thing you're putting lace on has a certain shape, you might want to curve with that shape. Now it doesn't look quite as flowery. There we go. Now it has like a little bump in it. It looks more flowery shaped. Where's my eraser? I'm usually, I found a million pens but no eraser. There we go. Usually now, since I've drawn so much lace, I don't actually map out the main parts anymore. I just do it straight with pen because I don't need to usually fix things. Or if I do, since it's black, I can just sort of extend it. And as you just draw more flowers, you sort of get the knack for doing it. But when I first did it, I was looking at lace and then trying to replicate the flower patterns they had. Let's have the lace go down to like here. I'm going to do a different kind of lace past this way, but we're going to keep doing this one up at the actual hand. It's okay to put some cut off shapes in the corner. It actually looks really nice. Okay, now that I got the main design laid out, I'm going to end up adding more detail, but I know this is like a lace tutorial, but I want to just add some pearls on the very wrist part because I think it'll be nice. But you're going to want to fill in the main design areas, and I usually just do a bunch of straight lines like this. It gives it sort of like a stitched look that lace has. So even these like little lines, I sort of do a scribble at them, create the illusion of stitching. Now, although this method isn't that difficult, technically speaking, it is very time consuming. I also am going to add in the lines, the outline. I'm going to add in the outlines of the hand just as I go along, filling in these flowers. You can do the outlines first, it doesn't have to be in this order. I just felt like doing it this way. just going to clean off a bit of the pencil lines. Now for this part, it's good to have a little bit of a smaller pen. This is a size 2. I'm going to do something that might not make sense. It's basically like draw a bunch of tiny little fish scales. We start at the very bottom actually. So there's a bunch of tiny little fish scales. And you're going to just keep making rows and rows of them. Where you want it to have a little bit more shading, you make them a little closer together, and where there's less shading, you make them a little farther apart. So it creates a bit of depth. They don't have to be very perfect, they can be messy looking. And then this part is pretty time consuming too, as you can imagine. The reason you need a really small brush for this is because they do need to be thin little lines. Because if they're too thick, you're not going to be able to tell what's going on. It's going to be just like really black. Top of lace gloves tend to have like a little seam right here, so I'm going to put that. Doing so much of the same little hand motion though can be tiresome on your wrist, so you might need to take a break and do a little wrist stretch. So now you can see how it looks like lace now. But I'm going to get my brush pen and do a bit of touch-ups just to sort of bring out the main bits a little bit more. I like how the edges are rough from doing the scratchiness, but I want to make the inside of them a little bit blacker so they're more visible. So I'm going in with this brush pen, which is nice and thick, to really bring the black back in. And I'm also going to outline the fingers with this thicker black to give it a bit more pop. I'm just adding like a few touch-ups, a bit more black here and there. There's one other way I wanted to show you that I was going to add onto here. It is basically to draw these sort of bumpy triangles. Let me make this one on the side more bumpy. I think this, do an inner triangle. And then draw some circles and some teardrop shapes. I can speak. I'm trying to make a video and I can't even narrate. Maybe some little hearts. But basically, you don't even have to have it like a triangle shape. You can have it more like round, like this, but this looks so big. I didn't even make that one so much bigger. And then you draw sort of just like little circles and stuff inside of it to create designs. And having it bumpy on the outside, like, okay, these don't match. That's not very good. I'm just trying to do an example. Ignore how bad this example is. But doing these different designs, different shapes, you can do squares too. And squares and circles, just like do a shape that's wobbly and then put circles and teardrop shapes in there. And then you're going to have some lace. It's how lace works. I'm going to use my number 3 pen. Outline this. The details on the inside are better to do with a smaller pen. You see how that looks like kind of bulky right there? Then that looks more elegant. And then doing dots like this sort of gives the illusion of detail without really doing anything. Like, yeah, you're doing things, you're dotting it, but you're not like, you don't really have to think about it that much. You're not trying to construct something. But there we go, that's my tutorial on how to draw lace and add a bit of shadow under it. Let me know if this tutorial helped you at all, and if you enjoyed it, if you have any suggestions for another one, and if you use this tutorial for a drawing and would like me to see it, you can tag me on Instagram at @Layark_blueheart, so then I will see it. Okay, I hope you have a super great day. Bye bye.